let's look at telesales. You see, when you're doing telesales, you need to make sure that you understand all aspects of what it is you're doing. You need to understand how many people you need to speak to, whether you're going to turn that from a cold into a sale or a cold into a callback. You need to understand every aspect of what you're doing. You see, most people give up on telesales because it's hard or because you get a lot of rejection. It's not for the weak-hearted, and it's just as simple as that. Telesales requires you to make sure that you can keep moving forward all the time. It takes a lot of commitment because often you have to speak to a lot of people because you're doing it from such a cold stand. Now, it's important to note that telesales and telemarketing are two different things, but they still require both to be phone calls. Now, sometimes you'll be able to speak to somebody on the phone and they'll know roughly who you are, or they've been a referral. These are completely different types of leads. You see, these are the difference between people that will be nicer to you and people that really don't care. One of the biggest things that you need to be doing with the people that are being nice to you is just make sure that you can give them what they're expecting from you. The people that are cold are the ones that you really have to start to look at and start nurturing. Now, just remember that when somebody tells you to absolutely F off, you need to look, did they tell you that because they were busy and they just didn't have time? You caught them at a bad time? Or because they're really not interested? 9 times out of 10, it's because you actually caught them at a really bad time. Let me tell you a story. When I was doing telesales, and I used to call at least 75 people a day, and when I say call, I don't mean they all answered and I had massive conversations. I mean there was some no answers, there was left messages, there were callbacks. There was a lot of ones that just didn't take long. When people do answer and you have proper conversations, you're not going to end up calling that amount. Sometimes you can reach hundreds of people if it's all just no answer, and depending on whether you've got a dialer system or whatever it is. But I called this person, and this was back when you were using the yellow pages and you'd have the ruler, and I called this person and he basically abused me on the phone. He told me to F off, go get a real job, and all the really nice stuff you could think of. It was my last call of the day, and I thought, okay, fine. And I went home and wow, like, it doesn't start you off for a great evening. Anyway, I came back the next day, all motivated, ready to get started. And I made my first call. I used a very similar pitch, a very similar tone. I did try and change it up a little bit when I wasn't getting results. And this person then said, yeah, okay, I'm happy to book a proper call with you and go through this. So I thought, oh, amazing, great, this is a great start to the day. I looked down and I realised that the person I just called was that horrible person from the day before. Now, I don't blame him for the way he spoke to me, because more than likely it was my fault because I didn't pick up on the signals he was letting off. You see, when I think back to that call, he was rushed, he was panicked, he sounded like he was just really busy. And what I should have done at that exact moment was say, do you know what? You sound busy. Let me give you a call back. Do you have a good time tomorrow? And that would have secured the call for the next day and made it start really well. Now, it worked out well for me on that occasion, but it doesn't normally. What you've got to do is make sure that you are truly listening to them on the phone in the exact same way that you would do a funnel, you would do a face-to-face meeting. You've got to sometimes close your mouth and listen with your ears, because that will prevent all the negativity that could possibly come. There is a lot of ways to succeed in telesales, but the biggest way is to listen, is to make sure you understand who you're speaking to. Make sure you build that rapport with them, because otherwise all you're going to end up with is people telling you to F off. And I mean telesales, cold calling, even the ones that have come through your lead campaigns, they are still cold. They still need to be convinced a little bit. So when you're doing it, make sure you're paying attention to what they're saying, but more importantly, the tone of how they're saying it.